The worst betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from the ones who swore they'd never hurt you. My phone buzzed sharply at exactly 2:03 a.m., jolting me awake in my hotel room halfway across the country. I was in Chicago for an important business meeting, a presentation that could change my career forever. Normally I'd never leave my wife, Sarah, alone for so many nights, but she had convinced me to go. After all, this promotion was crucial for both our futures. Reaching blindly in the darkness, I grabbed my phone, squinting against the bright screen. A blocked number stared back at me. Confused and still half asleep, I answered cautiously. "Hello," I whispered, my voice rough from the sleep. Silence stretched on the other end, thick and unsettling, like whoever had called was struggling to speak. Finally, a distorted voice broke through. Quiet, hesitant, and oddly familiar, as if deliberately masked. "Trust is dangerous when it's blind. Maybe you should open your eyes and look closer." My heart started pounding, adrenaline kicking in instantly. "Who is this? What are you trying to tell me?" The caller paused, breathing nervously, then spoke again, almost apologetically this time. "I can't say more. Just come home early tomorrow. See for yourself before it's too late." Before I could press further, the line went dead, leaving me alone in a cold sweat, staring into the empty darkness of the hotel room. Hundreds of miles away from home, all I could do was replay the mysterious warning over and over in my mind, each word carving deeper doubts into my heart. Who had called? Why the secrecy? And above all, what exactly was waiting for me back home with Sarah? Sleep was no longer an option, only questions that demanded answers. The pale glow of dawn crept slowly across the ceiling of my hotel room, casting a grayish haze over everything. I hadn't slept at all, not a single minute since that unsettling call in the dead of night. Anxiety gripped my chest, tightening with each passing moment as my mind replayed the distorted, cryptic voice again and again. "Trust is dangerous when it's blind. Maybe you should open your eyes and look closer." The words echoed relentlessly, each repetition gnawing at me deeper. Who could have called me? And more troubling, what exactly had they meant? I stood up, pacing anxiously across the hotel room, the plush carpet muffling my footsteps as I wrestled with uncertainty. My heart felt like a ticking clock, pounding out questions faster than I could answer them. With every step, I grew increasingly convinced something wasn't right back home. I stopped, staring blankly out the window at Chicago's bustling streets below, the early traffic crawling past without urgency. My mind drifted back to recent weeks, slowly piecing together moments I'd brushed aside but now seemed impossible to ignore. Sarah wasn't just acting different, she was hiding something. The way she turned her phone screen away, the hushed conversations, the forced smiles when I asked who she was talking to. It wasn't just stress, it was deception. She'd always been open, never hiding her phone or taking private calls. But lately, that had changed. She started stepping away mid-conversation, whispering into her phone, always careful to turn the screen away from me. When I asked about it, she'd smiled reassuringly, saying it was just work stress. And like a fool, I'd believed her. My thoughts turned darker. I remembered clearly the night, just a week ago, when Sarah came home unusually late, her cheeks flushed and eyes distant, her perfume mixed with something unfamiliar. Something I hadn't recognized but had chosen not to question. At the time, it seemed harmless enough. Everyone needed a personal space, I reasoned. But now those seemingly innocent moments felt heavy, sinister. And then there was Chris, my best friend for over a decade. He'd practically grown up with me, had stood beside me at my wedding, had celebrated every milestone in my life as if it were his own. But lately even he had seemed uncomfortable, withdrawn. Whenever the three of us spent time together, Chris would barely meet my eyes. He'd shift uncomfortably, laughing nervously, always quick to change the subject when I brought up Sarah. One night, after a particularly awkward dinner, I asked him straight out, "Is everything okay, Chris? Something bothering you?" He'd hesitated, eyes flickering with something unreadable before quickly looking away, offering a forced smile. "Yeah, everything's fine. Just tired, man. It's nothing." At the time, I'd brushed it off, but now his reaction haunted me, echoing through my mind with alarming clarity. Had he known something then? Had he tried in his own subtle way to tell me? Or worse, had he been hiding something of himself? I felt like I was solving a puzzle I never wanted to finish. Every piece fell into place. The late-night calls, the distance in her eyes, the tension in Chris's voice. And once you see the picture clearly, you can't unsee it. You can't pretend everything is fine. Sarah's distant behavior, Chris's sudden unease, Late-night calls, awkward silences. I felt like a detective uncovering clues in a case I desperately wished wasn't mine. Could it really be possible? Could Sarah be hiding something from me? With Chris involved somehow? I shook my head violently, trying to push the suspicion away, but it clung stubbornly. The more I tried to deny it, the clearer it became. Something wasn't just off. It was dangerously wrong. My breathing quickened. I glanced down at my phone, the black screen reflecting my anxious face. My presentation wasn't until tomorrow afternoon, but how could I possibly stand in front of a boardroom, pretend everything was normal while this doubt festered inside me? I couldn't. My hands shaking slightly, I opened my laptop and quickly searched for flights home. To my relief, there was one departing in less than 2 hours. Without hesitation, I booked it, feeling a rush of grim determination mixed with dread. As I threw my clothes hurriedly into the suitcase, I couldn't escape the sinking realization that whatever awaited me back home would forever alter the way I saw the two people I trusted most in the world. The uneasy warning from last night replayed once more, louder and clearer. Sometimes, the ones closest to you hide the darkest secrets. It wasn't just a warning anymore, it felt like a prophecy. I zipped my suitcase shut, took a deep breath to steady myself, and headed quickly for the door, unable to shake the growing fear that today would expose truths I'd never be ready to face. The airport was a blur. Neon signs flashed, people moved around me, voices blended into an indistinct hum. But none of it registered. My mind was trapped in a loop of paranoia and rage. The voice on the phone. Trust is dangerous when it's blind. Maybe you should open your eyes and look closer. Who the hell had called me? And more importantly, what was I about to walk into? I stared out the taxi window as the city lights rushed past, my pulse hammering in my ears. My hands were clenched so tightly that my knuckles ached. I wasn't ready for this, but I had to know. I pulled into the driveway just before midnight. Sarah's car was there. The house was quiet, and too quiet. I killed the engine and sat in silence, gripping the steering wheel. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around, to drive anywhere but through that front door. But the weight in my chest, the sick feeling in my gut, told me that if I didn't walk inside now, I would regret it for the rest of my life. I stepped out, the midnight air sharp against my skin. The soft glow from our bedroom windows spilled into the night, casting eerie shadows along the walls. I stood there for a second, frozen, my breath slow and controlled. Then from upstairs, laughter, software, muffled, intimate, the kind of sound that used to belong to me. My stomach twisted, my chest tightened. I wasn't walking into my home, I was walking into a crime scene. The kind of laughter that didn't belong to someone alone. A numbness spread through me, my body moving on autopilot as I unlocked the front door. The moment I stepped inside, I felt it. That shift in the air, the unmistakable presence of someone else, the sound of rustling sheets, a whispered voice, a low chuckle. I took the stairs slowly, my hands curling into fists at my sides. My heart pounded with each step, the weight of the moment pressing down on me like an iron vice. The bedroom door was half open. For a brief moment I hesitated. Then I pushed it open. Sarah's face went pale. Her mouth parted in a silent gasp, her body frozen as she clutched at the sheets. And next to her, Chris, my best friend, the man I had trusted above all others, half naked in my bed. The air in the room collapsed. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. It was a stillness so loud it was deafening. Then chaos. Chris shot up, panic flashing in his eyes as he grabbed for his clothes. It's not what it looks like. I let out a cold, humorless laugh. Really? So what, Chris? You accidentally tripped and landed in my wife? Sarah clutched the sheets tighter, her voice frantic. It just happened, I swear. It was a mistake. A mistake. I let out a cold, humorless laugh. Oh, it just happened? I stepped forward, eyes locked on Chris. So what, man? You just tripped and fell into my wife? He flinched. Sarah reached for me, her lips trembling. Please, she pleaded, her voice shaking. It didn't mean anything, I snapped. It didn't mean anything? My voice cut through the air like a blade. My breath came fast, ragged. You were in our bed, Sarah, with my best friend, and you want me to believe it didn't mean anything? Chris raised his hands, desperation flashing in his eyes. Dude, please, I never meant to hurt you. I turned on him, my voice dangerously low. How long? His throat bobbed. He looked at Sarah. Sarah looked at me. Then barely above a whisper, a few months. My stomach twisted. I had been gone for 3 days, but they had been betraying me for months. Chris ran a hand down his face, his voice cracking. I was gonna tell you. When? My voice roared through the room. Chris flinched. Sarah sobbed. I shook my head, disgust curling in my chest. Then something clicked. The phone call. The distorted voice, the warning. I turned toward them, pulse pounding. Who else knows? Chris blinked. What? The call. My voice was lethal. Someone called me last night. Someone who knew. Someone who wanted me to come home. I stared into their faces, searching for the crack in their lies. So tell me, who else knows? Sarah's eyes widened. What call? Chris looked genuinely confused. I don't know what you're talking about. And I believed him, which meant someone else knew. Someone had seen them. Someone had watched long enough to warn me. A cold, sickening realization settled over me. Chris took a slow breath. Look, man, I know I fuck it up, but you have to understand. It wasn't like we planned this. Stop talking. My voice cut through the room like a blade. He shut up immediately. Sarah sobbed harder, reaching for me. Please, I love you. I stepped back, out of her reach. And that was the moment she knew. There was no fixing this. I took one last look at Sarah, the woman I thought I knew, the woman who promised forever, but forever ended tonight. Without another word, I turned and walked away, leaving behind everything I had once called home. As I got into my car, my breath still ragged, and one question remained. Who called me? Who had known about the affair? And more importantly, why had they chosen to warn me? I gripped the steering wheel, my fingers white-knuckled. There was more to the story. And I wasn't done uncovering the truth. I didn't know how long I sat there. The world outside moved on, cars passed, people walked their dogs, the sky lightened with the slow creep of dawn, but I was frozen. The weight in my chest wasn't just anger anymore, it was something heavier, something final. The house in front of me wasn't my home anymore. It was the place where everything had fallen apart. My fingers hovered over the ignition, but I didn't start the car. I should have driven away. I should have left them both in the mess they created. But something kept me there, my thoughts racing, my grip tightening around the steering wheel. Then my phone vibrated on the passenger seat. I glanced down, expecting another message from Sarah, but the number on the screen wasn't hers. Unknown number. A chill ran through me as I hesitated for only a second before answering. Who is this? The line crackled. Silence stretched for too long. Then the same distorted voice from the night before spoke, calm, measured, like they had been waiting for this moment. A slow breath on the other end. Then, I told you to open your eyes. My skin prickled. My grip tightened around the phone. Who are you? Silence. Then in a voice that was almost amused, that doesn't matter. What matters is you finally see the truth. My stomach clenched. Who are you? The voice didn't answer right away. I could hear their slow, steady breathing. Whoever they weren't in a hurry. I told you to open your eyes, they finally said. You see things clearly now, don't you? My pulse pounded. You knew. A pause, then simply, yes. The confirmation made my blood run cold. I had so many questions, but before I could ask another, the line went dead. I pulled the phone from my ear, staring at the blank screen. Whoever this was, they had been watching all along. By noon, the world wasn't quiet anymore. I hadn't responded to Sarah. I hadn't answered Chris's calls. I hadn't left my car, hadn't moved, hadn't even tried to figure out what came next. But then my phone rang again. Not Sarah, not Chris, a mutual friend. I answered, a voice hoarse. Yeah? Dude. His tone was low, urgent. You need to check Facebook, now. A sick feeling twisted in my gut. I opened the app, my hands shaking slightly as my feed loaded, and then, there it was, a photo, Sarah and Chris, at a bar. She was leaning into him, her hand resting lightly on his chest, her smile too intimate, too familiar, too much like the way she used to look at me. The caption beneath the photo was short but sharp. Yikes. My heart slammed against my ribs as I kept reading. The comments were piling up fast. At first, they were just confused questions. Someone asked, "Wait, isn't she married?" Another chimed in, "That's Chris. He's best friends with her husband." A third simply wrote, "Oh, sh." Then it got worse. People weren't just speculating anymore. Some already knew. "Wow, some people are straight up trash," one person wrote. Another replied, "Someone tag her husband. He deserves to see this." My hands clenched into fists. This wasn't just a private betrayal anymore. It was public. And Sarah? She had no idea what was coming. By the time I finally walked through the front door, my body felt numb. I hadn't slept. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't done anything except watch my life implode in real time. I stood in the hallway, staring at the walls, the furniture, the pictures that once meant something. It all felt foreign now, like I had stepped into someone else's life. My phone vibrated again. A text from Sarah. "Sarah, what the hell is happening? People are texting me, asking questions. And why is our business all over the internet?" I let out a slow, bitter exhale. Our business? She wasn't upset about cheating. She wasn't upset about betrayal. She was upset because people knew. I didn't reply. Another text came in almost immediately. "Sarah, we need to talk. Please, just come home. Home." As if that word still meant anything. I was about to put my phone away when another notification popped up. But this one wasn't from Sarah or Chris. It was from a number I hadn't saved, but I recognized it immediately. "Unknown number. I told you the truth would come out." I inhaled sharply, my grip tightening. I typed quickly, my fingers trembling slightly. "Me. Who are you?" No response. I swallowed hard, my mind racing, and typed again. "Me. Tell me." The typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared. I waited. Nothing. A minute passed. Then, message failed to send. I cursed under my breath, my mind spinning. Whoever this was. They had known all along. And now, they had disappeared just as quickly as they had appeared. But one thing was certain. Sarah and Chris weren't just dealing with me anymore. Their secret was out, and the fallout was just beginning. I stared at my phone, watching the chaos unfold, but for the first time in days, I wasn't the one falling apart. It was them. Sarah. Chris. The people who had spent months sneaking around, lying straight to my face, acting like I was too blind to ever see the truth. And now, they couldn't hide from it anymore. Their secrets weren't whispered behind my back. They were plastered across the internet, talked about in group chats, spreading faster than they could control. And the best part? I didn't have to do a damn thing. I had walked away. I had left them to deal with the wreckage they created. And yet karma had worked its way into their lives like a slow-burning fire, consuming everything they thought they had under control. And I was finally free. Sarah called me that night. Over and over, I never picked up. She left voicemails, her voice shaking between sobs, telling me she never meant to hurt me, that she didn't know why she did what she did, that we could fix this. Chris tried too. He texted some long-winded apology about how he made a mistake, how he had let his feelings get the best of him, how he was willing to do whatever it took to make things right. As if there was anything left to fix. I didn't block them. I didn't respond either, because honestly, there was nothing left to say. Their world was crumbling without my help. Sarah's job found out. Turns out sleeping with your husband's best friend while working in a company full of mutual connections isn't the best way to keep your professional reputation intact. Chris's fiancée left him publicly and made sure everyone knew exactly why. And me? I was finally starting to breathe again. For weeks I had wondered why. Why did Sarah do this? Why did Chris betray me? Why did some anonymous, unknown person, decide to pull me out of my ignorance and into the harsh, unavoidable truth? And then I realized none of that mattered anymore. Because here's the thing about betrayal. You don't always get the closure you want. You don't always get the answers you think you need. Sometimes the people who hurt you don't even understand why they did it themselves. But that doesn't change the outcome. They made their choices. And I made mine. I chose to walk away. I chose to let the truth do what it needed to do. I chose to let their own actions be their downfall. And honestly, that was enough. Now let me ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you want the truth, even if it destroyed everything you thought you knew? Or would you rather stay blind, just a little longer? But when it stares them in the face, most aren't ready for it. So tell me, if you were me, Would you have wanted to know? Or would you rather have stayed in the dark just a little longer?